This is according to the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. As of 6:50 p.m., July 8, 2025, a heavy rain warning has been issued for western part of Seoul, which includes 양천구, 강서구, 구로구, 금천구, 영등포구, 동작구, and 관악구 districts. Stay updated on the weather conditions in your area through TV, radio, or smartphone and share this information with those around you. When driving, reduce your speed and avoid flooded roads, underpasses, or bridges. Be sure to be alerted and alert others nearby. Do not approach areas prone to flash floods or submersion, such as streams, riverbanks, valleys, or coastlines, and inform those around you of the danger. If you're in a flooded area, mountainous region, or a valley, or have received an evacuation advisory, evacuate immediately to a safe location along with others nearby. Avoid hazardous areas such as construction sites, utility poles, underground spaces, retaining walls, and fences. In rural area, take preventative measures to protect crops and facilities, such as clearing drainage channels, securing greenhouses, and reinforcing orchard support structures, and refrain from farming or any outdoor work during severe weather. Now we go back to our regular program. You're listening to Arirang Radio.
I'm in London.
I'm in Australia.
Tokyo,
The Philippines.
Finland,
Indonesia.
New York.
Arirang Radio.
Now live in Seoul.
Welcome to Arirang Radio.
Special Issue Task Force, how can I help you? All right, joining us for the latest in Special Issue Task Force is our TF leader, Yoon Se-young. Se-young, hello to you.
good evening. Oh, how do you like my new earphone? I love it.
Oh, yeah? I
Yeah.
wonder who gave you that
SJ.
for your birthday.
Thank you.
It
I've
was-
never owned such like luxury, fancy earphone before.
I
So,
mean, so I use a monitoring phone, earphone, right? And so those are monitoring earphones. It's good for broadcasting. I think the reason why I actually got it was her birthday last week.
yes.
Day after when she came, it was last Wednesday, right?
Last Wednesday. Oh.
And then I was like, man, Seyoung's gonna be dancing all the time. And it's very hard to dance without music. Remember that one time you danced without
I know,
any music?
without music because I didn't have any earphone.
And then if we don't have earphones, we have these headphones that are like super big.
Yes.
And, it's not very good to dance with big headphones. So I was like, if I'm going to make her dance, might as well get her some really good
That was your
earphones.
purpose.
That's what it
Okay.
was. That's what you look good, by the way.
Thank you.
You
I
look like
love
you look
it.
like
I
an
love
actual
it.
like singers.
Yeah.
With those.
And then I'll have to take it off
Oh gosh,
in the middle.
it looks better than mine. I'm kind of jealous, to be honest with
You
you.
want to exchange?
No, it's okay.
No? Okay.
Anyways, let's talk about some hot issues everybody's been talking about. This is a really, really big issue. My wife won't stop talking about this. She's very excited for this one. Last week, Korea's National Assembly passed a huge supplementary budget bill, nearly 31.8 trillion won. That's around 23 billion US dollars. But amongst that, some of that money is coming to the people.
Yes.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, the core part of it is about 13.8 trillion won in additional spending, mostly targeted at reviving the economy and helping ordinary people. And it includes disaster cash hands out, what's dubbed Everyday Relief Voucher Coupon or 민생 회복 소비 coupon in Korean. And starting July 21st, almost everyone in Korea will receive at least 150,000 won, about 110 US dollars, and that's the base amount. But those in lower income brackets will receive more. For example, next to lowest income group gets 300,000 won. Recipients of basic welfare will get 400,000 won. And in addition to that, if you live outside Seoul and the capital region, you get an extra 30,000 won. And residents of population declining rural areas get 50,000 won on top of that.
You have to really give it to the DP on this one, the Democratic Party, because this was I believe, President Lee Jae-myung's pledge before. And so some of them, because what the opposition was saying is that he's using to get votes. This was also pushed, by the way, not just President Lee Jae-myung, but during the last April general elections last year.
That's right.
The DP was pushing for this. And then at the time, PPP was basically saying, you're trying to buy votes. Now, the election is done and over with.
Right.
So politicians, now that they're in office, they can easily say, well, forget about that, right? Forget about about this. But no, they're actually keeping up with this. And the reason for this is because consumer spending has been on a decline right now. They're not
sure.
injecting money into the domestic economy.
Yes.
Big stuff here. But here's what's interesting. This is not just income-based, but it's also geography-based.
Yeah, the government wants to make sure rural and Asian communities, which are shrinking in both population and spending, are included in this economic boost. So the first round starts on July 21st, and there's also a second round of payments in September.
Oh.
So anyone except the top 10% of earners, you're not included in this group, 10% of earners.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure, will receive an additional 100,000 won, bringing the total support up to 550,000 won per person in some cases, depending on your condition. And what's also notable here is that it is the first time that recognized refugees in Korea are eligible for such payments too.
Yeah, so I had to do some digging up here because anytime they do these cash handouts,
Right.
the big question marks are foreigners, right? So as a foreigner myself, I was wondering because there was times when I didn't get the COVID stuff. And so they were saying that if you are subscribed to the national health insurance under your spouse who's Korean nationality, and
That's your case?
that's my case. So I'm actually subscribed under her name because I'm a foreigner, then I'll be eligible.
Wow. So you received it?
I haven't received it yet.
Oh, no, I mean during the COVID.
Oh, no, not during COVID. For this one.
This
For this one, I'm going to be
Oh, I
eligible,
see,
they're
I see.
saying.
Okay.
So somebody's
Good for
got to be
you.
injecting some money into the economy once I get this. But this is quite interesting. And again, we've experienced something like this during the
Right.
pandemic. This is something that happened to many countries out there as well. But how is this different from what we saw during the COVID-19 pandemic, though?
Well, I think the reason why I mentioned COVID-19 was because personally, local voucher during COVID-19 was very useful for me personally.
Yeah.
And consumption voucher this time is, we can say, a more inclusive and targeted approach than what we saw during pandemic. Back then, the support was uniform, but this time it's more income-based, regionally weighted, and mindful of local economies. So let me tell you how people actually can use these coupons. They will be distributed through credit cards, prepaid cards, or local gift certificates, and you can only spend them at small local businesses like traditional markets, neighborhood restaurants, hair salons, or even private academies like Hagwon. But you can't use them at big box retailers, department stores, or online platforms. So this clearly shows that the purpose of the latest livelihood support payment is its intention is for small business owners who are facing severe economic hardship and are even on the verge of closing down.
Even after the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, during the past 3 years, and this was the big criticism towards the former Yoon administration, is that the domestic economy was in shatters. And so
Right.
there were just a lot of small businesses that were
Many
just
stores
closing
has
left and
closed
right.
down. Yes.
And so I guess this kind of answers your question, John. Does the government have any concerns that these stimulus payments will have the same effects that they had in Japan, where citizens just put the money into savings versus using to bolster the economy?
You have to spend it.
Yeah. So it's not like they give you cash into your bank account or give you cash and say,
Right.
here, spend it however you want. You have to, we have what's called like I live in, we have the Gyeonggi card, right? The Gyeonggi province card.
Yes.
And so they put it into that, either that or other prepaid cards, and you have
Yes.
to only spend it in these small businesses.
Right.
You have to
Or
spend
hair
it.
salons or hagwon.
What a,
Even hagwon.
and some small retail wine shops are also
Oh,
eligible for this too.
great news for you.
Yes.
Yourself,
although
right?
although 1,500, 150,000 doesn't really
You
do
can
much.
buy a bottle of wine,
I
maybe.
could barely
probably.
buy one probably. But again, this all the thing that we just talked about, very intentional, right? The purpose here is put all the spending into the mom and pop shops.
Right. It's also ties into Korea's strong local community culture. The government wants to stimulate food traffic and help the shops that serve as neighborhood anchors. But not everyone's happy with this policy. Not everyone agrees with this policy. Some conservative lawmakers argue that these coupons are short-term fixes with limited economic return. And one lawmaker even said that local currency used in this way often just replaces money many people would have spent anyway. And some critics point out that a large portion was spent at hagwon and clinics, not necessarily driving new consumption at local markets. But still, with Korea's economic growth slowing down, people really want practical economic policies that can actually affect their everyday lives. In that context, what would be better than cash? And Korea's potential growth rate is now at 1.9%, the lowest since OECD tracking began in 2001. The government is hoping these coupons act as a kind of psychological ignition switch to revive consumer confidence. And I believe this is one of those moments when people can feel policy at the dinner table, whether it's help with groceries, bills, or local businesses seeing more customers. I believe such economic policy is directly related to our everyday lives.
I would agree in some ways. I'm not a big fan of the money given out, vouchers being able to be used at hagwons, because it is true. I mean, these are money that they would have spent anyways. It doesn't necessarily
because hagwon is part of local small businesses.
It is, but parents pay the fees anyways. They pay into the hagwons anyway. The whole point of this is to boost the spending.
Right.
This doesn't necessarily boost the spending. It just gives them a month extra maybe of some one academy. But if it's like local stores, restaurants, hair salons too, maybe I'd be like, there was times where I'm like, man, if I'm short on money, I'm just not going to cut my hair. Let me just grow it out. Oh, here's money. It is hot. Let me cut my hair, like with the extra money that I have. Or I might go, let me get get a perm done or something like that with this extra money. So in some ways, I do agree with what some of the conservative lawmakers were saying.
Right.
With the hagwons, only with the hagwons, though, I'll say this. Along with the criticism over the cash handouts, there was another political drama over the so-called special activity funds.
Yes.
Let's talk about this.
That's another major point of controversy over the extra budget bill this time. The budget restores over 100 billion won in special activity expenses for the presidential office, prosecutors, police, and the audit board. Funds that had been entirely cut last year by then opposition party DP. That's why now the main opposition PPP calls it hypocritical. And some lawmakers, especially from the ruling Democratic Party, opposed the restoration for prosecutors, arguing that it undermines recent reform efforts. But there were some late-night debates at the assembly with disagreements with even within the ruling party. The opposition boycotted most of the session, of course. But in the end, it passed because the ruling DP is holding the majority. And there's even an attached note that the prosecutor's special funds must only be used after reform legislation passes.
Well, there was a reason why the then opposition DP was cutting the budget, is because they found out that the presidential office at the time were using money on ridiculous stuff, really outrageous stuff.
Right.
And so they're like, we don't understand why you're spending so much money on this. We're going to have to cut it. But if it's using properly, get back the budget, right? All right.
Point.
We're going to continue to talk about our special issues being discussed all over the office here. But first, let's take a I feel like this is how many people feel about this.
How I feel about it.
Yes. This is Block B with Very Good.
Guess who's back? Real proud, we did it again, man. Ado, let's go. Showtime 환호와 기대 속에 첫 등장. No doubt 남들과 차 변화되는 순간. 나갈 문은 없어. 넌 없이 나가게 돼. Get on. I'm very, very good. 꼬마들 재롱잔치를 멈춰 분위기는 벌써 무르 위 걷고 순식간에 객석을 정보 카페스 가라 행가를 받아 터지는 파바를 박차를 가해요 How many vacancies out there? Turn up 멀어지라도 세게 울어 왜 무게가 떠나가게 비명질러 땡 아무나 데려 오시고 맘 내키는 대로 움직여 기치기치야야 그 기치기치야야 시간 다 됐어 정적을 적당히 할 생각 버려 숲에 엄지를 세워 열기를 불태워 주목한다 전방에 힘찬 함성 발사 Hey 거기 너 똥폼 잡지마 손들어 벌 좀 받자 하나가 된 듯이 단합을 해 Ho 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 Heard up 월드라 더 세게 울어 왜 무게가 떠나가게 비명질러 떼 꼬미남들은 길을 써 생척해도 너무 귀여운 girl 개판 부려 개판 5분 전 이런 컨셉은 우리가 전문이야 시간 다 됐어 정적을 깨고 적당히 할 생각들은 갖다 버려 stupid 엄지를 세워 열기를 불태워 이 구역을 미친 듯이 모여라 I'm very very good Already? I'm very very good very very good 안 나오면 쳐들어간다 쪼여들어간다 안 나오면 쳐들어간다 What can I do for you? 안 나오면 쳐들어간다 쪼여들어간다 안 나오면 쳐들어간다
Hey! Stop looking at the clock! We still got more work at the Culture Inc.
The last track you heard, Block B with Very Good. I don't know who was singing that, but that guy had high-pitched tone. Oh, that was so high. Anyways, we're back in the studio for Special Issue Task Force with Haeyoung joining us. We talked about the cash handouts that's going to really help out the mom and pop stores, all the small businesses that's been impacted so heavily over the past several years now.
I'm also thinking about visiting local traditional market this time.
Yes.
Yes.
It's very important. Okay.
It's fun, actually.
Made It Up says, I suspect some people might spend that on wine. Okay, so this is, okay, here's the thing, right? So I have to back it up with what I just said before with the whole hagwon thing. People are going to be spending on hagwon anyways. You shouldn't be, then hagwon should not be eligible. I promise, I will not spend any of that on wine.
Oh, good.
It
Please
probably,
keep the promise.
the 150,000 won isn't even going to cover one bottle, if you ask me. But
Because you only drink luxury wine.
actually, no, that's not true. That's not very true.
G7 is not even a wine. You can't even call it wine.
No, I wouldn't even wash my hands with that. I promise, I will use it. Use it, restaurants,
Restaurants?
small restaurant.
With your family?
No, by myself. They got
Yourself?
Spend man. They got their money too. They got their money too. I gotta spend money. This is me money.
So Loha can visit herself?
Yes. Yes.
She's what? How old is she?
Aaron, go buy your Pokemon cards with that money. Stop telling Daddy to buy your Pokemon cards. Since we talked about family, this is a little bit of a sad leeway here, but it's going to be a hard one to talk about, especially again both of us being
Yes.
parents. It talks about family, working life, unseen costs of care in modern society, and you might be going, "Why is it sad?" Well, because certain issues have happened recently here in Korea. Let's talk about this.
Yes, I really wish we were discussing something lighter, but this issue really deserves our attention. So let's begin with what's been making headlines, a series of tragic incidents involving young children left home alone. Sadly, these are not isolated cases. In Busan, within just 1 month, there were 2 fatal accidents, and in one case, 2 young siblings died in a house fire while their parents were away at work. And a similar tragedy occurred in Incheon in February, and in all cases, the children were home alone without any adult supervision.
Yeah, so I believe the story with Busan, they were elementary school students, and
Right.
so the parents were going, look, I mean, if you're elementary school students, you're old enough.
It was late at night.
Yeah, and they
had
went to
go
sleep.
to
And they went to
yes.
sleep. And so parents, they work overnight, and so they come before they wake up to send them to school. I mean, they had to do what they had to do to bring the money, right?
Yes.
Both parents had to work overnight.
And like 30 minutes after the parents left, the accident.
And I believe that the
occurred.
second sibling died later on in the hospital. But this is
Yes.
devastating. Devastating news. at first glance, it might be, again, a horrible accident. It really isn't a horrible accident, but there's more to this, right?
Yeah, these aren't just accidents. They are the result of structural failures in our society. And what we are really seeing is the invisible crisis of childcare, especially during school breaks or after school or late at night. And especially during summer break or winter break, we can't really expect childcare support. And many public daycare centers and after-school programs reduce their hours or don't operate at all during school vacations. And public facilities are limited in number. And even when available, their operating hours often don't match parents' working hours. And I have signed up for the service called 강남구 아이돌봄 서비스, childcare service provided by local government several times before to ask for help when our usual babysitter had an emergency or when my parents were not available. But it was really difficult to be matched because the demand far outweighs the supply. So the service itself is really great. We have to pay, but it's relatively affordable, reliable because all the babysitters are well trained, but you can sign up easily. But one problem is you can't really use it when you need it. And especially in low income and dual income households, the problem is worse. Some parents are working both day and night shifts just to make ends meet, what's called survival-based double labor. In such cases, there are literally no options. So parents are forced to leave their children at home alone, not because they want to, but because they have no choice.
Yeah, and so that was kind of like the pressure that I had, right? Which is why I had, my wife not work for a really long time, and I was trying to bring in all the bread because got kids,
Right.
and she has to take care of the kids.
Yeah,
there's no one
someone
else.
needs to stay home and take care of children.
But now that my mom's here with us, go make money. No, she is making money, by the way.
You're asking your wife to go now?
She is making
I
money,
know.
though. She is making money. No, all joking aside, though, it's very difficult. And especially in economies right now, it's almost impossible to take care of children without having both parents work. Which leads us to a very sensitive issue. Is leaving a child alone legally considered neglect? In the U.S., you are not allowed to have a child be at home by themselves.
Right.
By a certain age, you have to have a babysitter. An adult has to be there to supervise the children.
Exactly.
It's all about the legal versus real life, because some parents, again, just have no choice but to leave their children at home.
Yeah, in South Korea, childcare is largely viewed as a private matter, which means that simply leaving a child home alone does not automatically constitute a legal offense. In fact, there's no clear age threshold for when a child can or cannot be left unsupervised. But like you said, in contrast, in the U.S., it's different. Depending on the state, the regulation law is different. But for example, in Illinois, parents can face child abuse charges if they leave a child under the age of 14 alone at home. And of course, in Korea, child neglect is unacceptable. But when it comes to leaving child home alone, there's a gray area. With the rising number of working poor, many parents simply can't afford private babysitters, nor do they have extended family nearby. So while it's easy to say, oh, don't leave your child alone, the reality is far more complicated. It's not always about irresponsible parenting.
No.
It's about a system that fails to support family. And that's why these tragedies are being called foreseeable disasters.
Let's talk about the deeper cultural layer here. How is childcare viewed in Korean society?
Well, that's really important point. In Korea, there's still a strong cultural belief that raising children is the family job. Period. Although I see some positive progress these days, but still in many cases, like we mentioned earlier, childcare is seen as a private matter, something parents, especially mothers, should handle on their own. And this mindset makes it hard for parents to ask for help or expect public solutions. So we really need a solution for this kind of cultural problems as well.
Going back to the recent accidents, what's been the public reaction like then?
Well, there's been a mix of grief and anger. Many people are saying these deaths weren't just personal tragedies. They were the result of policy failure again. And some lawmakers are calling for emergency reforms, but so far the action has been slow. And I think going back to our previous discussion, we need to reframe how we see childcare itself. It's not a private luxury. It's public infrastructure, just like roads or clean waters. Everyone needs it.
John over in DC said I was a latchkey kid. I was home alone a lot, but never overnight. I can also admit, because I think statute of limitation is over,
Right.
but when I was in New York as a kid, it would always be often me and my younger brother home alone because, both my parents were out working, but they come home at 7, 8 or somewhere around that. But the thing was, back then, it was like we had neighbors who were
Safer.
all, we had
Yes.
all neighbors who were all
You
Korean.
knew who were living
Yeah,
next
yeah,
door,
yeah. So
right?
if we needed anything, like we go next door
Yes.
and stuff like that. And so it wasn't bad, but still though, it was not really allowed back then.
Yes.
But it was.
Parents have no choice.
It had to be done. It
In
had to be
that
done.
context, I want to sincerely thank a Culture Inc. team for understanding and helping me with taking care of my child last week
Oh,
when
when
I
he
brought
came,
him to
that was
the
okay, but then that was
station.
okay though. I was telling you, I was like, we're very child welcoming group. My son came to our show a couple of times too, right? Anyways, guys, we'll continue to talk about some of the hottest issues. We'll end on a lighter note in just a bit, but first, let's take a listen to a song here from IU with Love Poem.
누구를 위해 누군가 기도하고 있나 봐 숨죽여 쓴 사랑 시가 낮게 들리는 듯해 너에게로 선명히 날아가 늦지 않게 자리에 닿기를
That was IU with Love Poem.
Don't you love this song?
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. But the video screen kind of ruined it. It was supposed to be pleasant.
Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw before on the screen was actually the window.
Yes.
Just outside, raining.
Drizzling.
But it didn't look like it. So I thought I was asking. I was like asking our producer, is that his nose? I thought it was blackhead. I thought those were his
I
pores.
didn't get it at all. It didn't seem like nose at all.
I was like, why is he taking putting a shot of his nose with all the blackhead? Oh, it's.
I thought it was gross. Aww.
I'm not even gonna read what he just wrote.
Pigs only see pigs.
I really thought it was like his pores or something like that. It was outside the window. It's not looking good out. It's raining outside. We're gonna end things here with one last issue. This is big, even though I'm not a fan of this particular team. The Hanwha Eagles, ladies and gentlemen, the Korea Baseball League, is doing something that they haven't done in years and years and years. What is happening with the Hanwha Eagles? Let's talk about them.
Okay, actually, I'm not a sports person,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I had to study a lot. Hana, riding a strong wave over their last 10 games, just swept the weekend series against the Kyum Heroes, securing the top spot for the first half of the season for the first time in 33 years. So for years, the Hana Eagles were, let's be honest, a running joke, the lovable underdogs of the KPO. They have been called a team that builds character in its fans, or even a symbol of patience. And yet here we are in 2025, and they are on fire.
They have now clinched. They can now lose all the games in the rest of the regular season games that they had before the All-Star break, and they will finish the All-Star break in the first half in first place.
Right.
But for those, so okay, I'm gonna try. What would be like an equivalent of the Hanwha Eagles in the Major League Baseball? It would be like the Montreal Expos back in the days, or the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, yeah.
They're both
I
birds.
heard many people talked about it. Yes,
Both
yes.
birds, both orange colors, jerseys and stuff like that. But who exactly are the Hanwha Eagles?
The Hanwha Eagles were founded in 1986, and they are the only KBO team based in Daejeon, representing the broader Chungcheongdo region. Historically, though, they've had a tough ride. They've spent years at the bottom of the league standings. I've even heard people say cheering for Hana is like a life lesson in endurance. But those long-suffering fans, they've never gave up, and the loyalty of Hana supporters is actually legendary in Korea.
Oh, absolutely. Even when they were terrible, when they come
Right.
to Jamsil Stadium, they're actually much
They
louder
never change. Right.
than the home team crowd. Hyun says, Hanwha in first place? No way. Yes, you've been around. You've been out of Korea for a very long time.
It's happening.
So what changed in 2025? How did this team go from like every year perennial last place team to first place team?
It's not just luck. There's been a real transformation behind the scenes. Hanwha's been quietly rebuilding their roster, especially focusing on young, talented pitchers. Also, 14 aces like Cody Pons and Ryan Weiss have been instrumental in leading the team. And right now, their team ERA is the best in the league. That means their pitching is sharp and their game strategy is tight as well. And they made a smart use of reliable domestic hitters, and the growth of young prospects created a strong synergy. And also, their coaching staff took some big risk changing lineup dynamics and rebuilding the team's identity from the ground up.
You did a really good job summarizing this.
I studied really hard.
It's good. It's true what she
Because
wrote.
I have zero knowledge on sports,
So it's-
especially when it comes to baseball.
So Hanwha Eagles were last place for a very long time. And so what happens when you have the KBO draft, when you draft these high school kids, right, and stuff like that, they
Right.
get first pick. And so for many years, they had the first round first picks, and they're finally developing into stars now. And not all of them have worked out, but they have very good young talented teams out there.
Right.
But taking a step back here, talk about the cultural side of things. One thing that really stands out in Korean baseball is just how important region
Right.
and hometown pride are. Now, it's died down a lot. Long time ago.
It was
During my parents' days.
insane.
It was insane.
Right.
It was bonkers. fire,
Right. Police
police,
everywhere.
riots, soju bottles. There's a reason why soju bottles are not allowed.
Oh, that's why.
Yes, it's because of the fans.
It was intense.
Yeah, so let's
put it
talk
in
about
that
this
way.
whole community pride, right?
So every team in the KBO has a strong connection to its home city or province. The team isn't just a club, it's a symbol of the local identity. And like you said, for the Hana Eagles, the region is Daejeon, and they are the only professional baseball team representing the Chungcheong-do region. And that means for fans in that area, Hana isn't just a team, it's their team. And depending on which region you came from or your family came from, the loyalty runs incredibly deep. For example, in Gwangju, a city with a painful history, the Kia Tigers became a symbol of healing and resilience for citizens in Gwangju. And in the case of the Lotte Giants based in Busan, the team is a true source of pride for the city's residents. So in Korea, cheering for your local team is a mix of regional pride, emotional investment, and shared struggle, especially in cities that don't have multiple pro teams. The local baseball club becomes a huge part of the community's heart.
John says, why not compare them to the Angels of the 90s? They made a movie about the actual... Angels in the Outfield is one of my favorite movies, by the way. But hey, John, the difference here is the Angels are still bad. They're terrible right now. But the Hanwha Eagles are in first place right now. So there was a brief moment when the Angels were good. So very quickly, going back to Hanwha's unexpected resurgence, there's something universally inspiring about watching an underdog succeed.
Right. No matter who you usually root for, when a team like Hana starts winning, it lights something up in everyone. It reminds us that miracle happens, patience can pay off, and that change is real even for the most unlikely candidates. And thanks to what's happening here in Korea, many people may have like a hope.
Yeah.
And so congrats to Hana Eagles and their fans.
No, again,
That's what I
I'm
want
not
to say.
I'm not a Hanwha Eagle fan, but I'm really excited for the team right now. Like I feel like no one is
And
going.
fans of other teams out there, don't be too jealous.
No, I don't think
please.
they are. They're just kind of like. You
I know
guys
some of
deserve
pe-
this.
I know some
your,
of people
your
who
husband.
are very, very jealous.
Her husband's very, very jealous right now. Well, you guys, they won the Kia Tigers won the championship last year. Goodness.
know.
All right, Seong, fun stuff here. Thank you as always for your special issues. Have a fantastic rest of your week. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
All right, sending her out of the studio. Let's take a listen to a song here from Rise with Fly Up.